So, as always, if you want to join in and give your 2 pence, more than welcome. So, right, Coach Helen for YouFit Studio. Ooh, could have gone wrong straight off the bat there, couldn't it really? Slip of the tongue. Right, hey, I'm up. Right, if you were have a conversation with yourself in 12 months' time, how would you want it to be? Right? It's a very interesting question, and that's why I'm posing it, and I called it a talk with your future self for that reason, right? If you and it's often a really great question to ask clients, okay? Especially if you're in a situation right now. Granted, things are obviously changed in the last 2 hours since planning this life. If you have a conversation with yourself in 12 months' time, how would you want it to be, right? And it's good to also reflect back and think, right, if I was going to have a conversation with myself 12 months ago, how would that have gone? If I was going to try and prepare myself for the next, or the last 12 months we've just all experienced, what kind of conversation would you have had with yourself? What kind of things would you expect to have learned over the last 12 months? What kind of challenges would you have prepared yourself for? What would you have, the red warning lights, what would you have flagged up to say, expect this to happen, this is going to go south, etc., etc. What would you have said to yourself 12 months ago? And I think it would be a very enlightening, what's the word to use? It's a very enlightening task to do, if you want to call it that. Or just a little reflection, really, on how the last 12 months has been and the person you were at the beginning of those 12 months. Because I think we can all safely say, I think all of us can safely say, that we have all fundamentally changed in different ways over the last 12 months. Notice I'm not saying better or worse, just fundamentally have changed, right? Because we've had to change, right? We've had no choice to, because of circumstances. So if you go back, to oh gosh, the 22nd of February 2020 and have a chat with yourself and say, actually, do you know what, this is what to get ready for? How would that go? What would you have told yourself? And the reason why I say to look back first, which I often do before you look forward, is that often when I ask somebody like, how would you like that conversation to be in the future? Like, I just don't know. So, okay, let's just draw on what you've learned so far. If you imagine how much you've been over the last 12 months, what would you think it's going to look like if you are in a funk right now? If you're in a situation like, I don't know what to do, this roadmap is happening, I'm still not sure, yada yada, I'm in a groove, I'm in a trench, whatever you want to call it. I'm in a zone where I cannot change my thought processes or my actions. I'm stuck where I am. All right. One of the fundamental things to ask yourself is, if you're focusing too much on the right now and not the future, you're listening probably to negative self-talk that will keep you where you are. Common words that I hear if you're doing that and not thinking about moving out of your current situation is, I can't, I'm not able to, not in my power. There's no essential forward thinking. So the thing is that when posing the question, like how if you were having a conversation in 12 months' time, how would you want it to be? What's being posed is the how point, right? I've talked about how before, right? Talking about how is how to be creative, right? Because if you find yourself being stuck in the now, it's very unproductive, very uncreative, I guess. That's not even a word. It's very black and white, I think, for a lot of people right now, and has been. And to say, right, okay, I want you to take yourself out of this moment right now and look forward for 12 months from now. So February, 22nd of February, 2022. All right, 22nd of February. Click your fingers and go forward to 22nd of February, 2022. And you have a conversation with your future self about how things are right now. Like, what would you say? Well, how would you want things to be? That's the most important thing. Like, how would you want your future self to be behaving? What things would you like to have achieved? What skills would you like to have worked through? If you're thinking about that conversation, how do you want it to feel? How do you want to feel as a person, right? Do you want to feel like a level of success? Do you want to feel like you're in control? Do you want to feel like you've established or achieved everything you wanted to set up over the next 12 months, right? Because if you know where your end product is, it's about how to build towards that future so often. And the main thing, and it's only going to be a relatively short one today because it's more like a posing question. Because I think the thing is about this question is it's very unique to individual. And when I'm working through it with somebody on a video call or a phone call, the most important thing is it's so unique, the emotions and feelings and sensations that person will have in terms of associating with their future self, right? Everyone has their own personal dreams, wishes. It's not just about losing weight and feeling good, although it's part of it, right? Or being a certain size, or feeling good in certain clothing, or all of that. It's actually also about their own unique associations and their own stories, right? And blueprints and identities. I've talked about all this stuff over the last, God, what feels like a very long time. It's only been a couple of months, but these are all the things I've talked about in the last few weeks, because they've been really important to mindset to get through this lockdown. And I think the important thing is now, as we're starting to approach a time of which things are starting to change, it's good to think about moving forward how you want things to look in the future for you, way past this, right? How do you want to be as a person? How do you want to be interacting with your friends and family? How do you want your role to be within the family, within your own job? How do you want to be as a person, right? And how would you want that conversation to go? Would you want it to be a nice conversation, right? Where you're saying how well you've done and congratulations, right? I think most people would. No, not many people would say to me when I ask this question now, I want it to be a terrible conversation. I want to have achieved nothing and felt nothing and not progressed anywhere in life and still be exactly where I am. Right? It's not, that's never going to be a response. And if you know that and you know what you want to achieve, then now's the time to start looking forward and having that conversation and start to understand how you would want that to be. Okay. So I said it's going to be like it is a 3-parter this week, right? So this is kind of like an opening introduction, if you like, to some degree, to how do you want how the conversation with future self to be. On Wednesday, I'm going to talk about the hierarchy of change. So we've looked at the cycle of change, and actually later in the week, I'm going to talk about the hierarchy of change. So how does that actually work in? So if you're actually wanting to become this person, you have this conversation with the future, how do you actually do it? Like, how is it best to move through change and get to what you get to? And then later on the week, so on Thursday, this is in the Thursday during the day, on Thursday we're talking about double vision. So how to be taking in multiple different points of your journey at the same time, because it's important, right? So main question to ask yourself, just to repeat today, okay, to recap. If you have a conversation in 12 months' time with yourself, how would you want it to be? All right, if you have a conversation with your future self in 12 months' time, how would you want it to be? All right, I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll catch you again on Wednesday.